All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to tutorials, I guess. All right. So I'm going to be doing this time, we're going to be talking about input systems, the old input system and the new input system. Unity dropped an input system and they have been updating it pretty well. So I thought this is a right time to show you guys how to improve your code with the new input system. So I have made two very simple scripts. If you have been following my tutorials, you already have a cube, and added to that cube this script player movement. It only has a function move, and the player input receiver will tell that object to move. And we're going to be using the classic input system first. So if the game's not paused, we will move using input.getAxis horizontal, getAxis vertical, and then sending that to my player. You could do an event for this, but I'm not in this case. Then we have another case in which is if we have the left control key pressed and press M, we will debug.log stuff. This is like a cheat code or some hotkey that you can use in the game. It could be whatever you want. And then we have input.getGecko space, and that's going escape. Sorry, that's going to pause the game and unpause the game. So I'm going to just show you how that works. So we have, just give it a second, and we will move the character up and down, left and right with WASD, the arrows, and the control stick, because Unity has this with their axi. If I hit escape, it will pause. And on pause, while it's paused, I am pressing my keys, so you probably can hear it, and I can move it. And the last thing was, if I go to my console, I hit Control plus M. It didn't work. Wait, it was not up. What? There, it says stuff. That was my mistake. You have to press the game so that it listens to that kind of thing. All right, so Control plus M, debug logs stuff. Right, so that is the old input system. So you can see it works fine. The problem we have with this input system is, well, first, we cannot easily change inputs. We will have to go, if you want your players to remap controls, you have to make a whole system around it instead of just allowing Unity to do it. If you want to remap controls yourself, or you're an artist and you want to deal with this in an easier way, then you will have to come here and change whatever your programmer did, whatever you did 6 months ago, which you can forget what things are. So this is definitely not recommended. This has many issues down the road, and the new input system solves those issues. But whenever you activate the new input system, you disable the old one. So I went to my package manager window, package manager, it pops this window, packages in Unity registry, and then you search for input, and the only thing that will pop up is the new input system. So I will install it, and we have to wait because it's going to be processing the data or whatever. And while we wait, let's talk about what we're going to do. We're going to create an input map, or two input maps. One for I'm going to call it movement, and the other one I'm going to call it overall. And I will show you how to do it. This is like 4 ways to do this, and I'm going to show you the one that may seem harder. Yes, it may seem harder, but this is the most scalable one. If you want to grow your game, if you want to grow your inputs, it will be the best one. I don't know. Yeah, it's just processing the whole thing. I have to restart. Whoops, sorry. I have to restart Unity for it to activate. You know what? I could cut this out of the video, but then my video will be a lie, so I'm not going to cut it. So whenever you have... Wait. My microphone has a problem. Whenever my computer is processing something, it dies. So since it was open in Unity, it died. But guys, you know what? We're fine. That's why we have Facecam. All right. So as soon as I hit play, Unity is going to complain. You will see. Invalid operation. You're trying to read input using Unity engine, that input class, but you have switched active input to the new system, the new input system. So that's because here, I need to replace, you go to your event system and you replace with the new input system. That's the first thing you have to do. And it's going to be doing things, but we don't care. I'm gonna go back to assets and I'm gonna go to my, just here, I'm gonna create a new input actions. And it's gonna just call it user controls, right? And I'm going to hit enter here. And you see, we're gonna get this user interface, and this user interface is where we create our stuff. I'm not gonna hit autosave because it's gonna be saving every time I make a change and I hate it. So I'm just gonna hit the action maps. We're gonna have one called, as I said, movement. You can call it whatever you want. Usually you want to group up a lot of things here. I'm gonna actually call it overworld. And we can create actions. And remember, we had one action is the movement. So I'm gonna create a new action. And so I'm gonna call it movement. And we need a vector2. So we need value control type vector2, and a vector2 it asks for a path, and this path is basically what you want it to be. So I'm going to listen, and I'm going to listen for my left stick on my gamepad. So that is going to allow me to move my thing, but we can do more things. So for example, we have a vector2 composite. And that basically means we're going to composite several buttons to make a vector2. And of course, we need 4 buttons. And the first one, I'm going to call it WASD. So I'm going to add for each binding one of these. And W, A keyboard, of course, S keyboard, and D for right keyboard. So now WASD is going to be movement. I'm going to do the same for arrow keys. So here, I'm gonna listen this time because I don't want to type up arrow. So we just listen, down arrow, left arrow. I'm pressing the buttons if you guys cannot figure that out, which I think you can. All right, so that is done, and I will be saving now so I don't lose that. So that's movement. That's my first action that I'm doing. The next one is input.getKey and then M, right? So that would be a new action, and I'm gonna call it cheat code. And this is so as you can see, this is one button that I'm pressing, M, with another button being held, and that is I have no idea, I think it's a modifier. So add button with one modifier. So we click that and we will call it control M. So yeah, the modifier is control, listen, control, and then the button is M. So listen, M. There. That is control M. That's my first modifier. So if you wanted to, I'm going to delete this. If you wanted to have a button with 2 modifiers, that would mean control alt M instead of control M, which we can do. You know what? Why not? I'll do it. Control alt M. We can add whatever we want, and Unity will assign the keys controls correctly. Sorry, alt. Oh, whenever you're doing this, don't copy paste. Never copy paste. Just do everything manually, because this can blow up if you copy paste. Has happened to me. I have no idea why. I think there's like a bug that you're gonna fix later. Okay, we have the cheat code now. Now the next thing would be escape for the pause. So we're gonna add a new one, and we're gonna say pause. And the binding is, this is a button, of course, and we just need listen, and we hit escape, and it doesn't work because of course it doesn't work. Escape keyboard, because escaping is bad. Okay, so we save asset. And now we're gonna add another action map, and it's gonna call UI. And this is going to have pause, or rather on pause. It's gonna have one action, right? So this binding is gonna be escape. So on pause with escape, and I'm going to also add a new binding. So we have add binding here, and I'm gonna add my button B on my GameCube controller. I hit R because I'm an idiot, but you guys hit B. All right, button east is the name of the button on my GameCube controller, which will on pause. All right, so now I save my assets, and you remember how I said how you click on this thing. And you have the inspector, and in the inspector, you have generate C# class. Generate the C# class you don't have to touch that C# class. Unity does it for you, does everything you need for you. So I'm gonna click that, and it's just gonna do it. I could change this, but I don't want to. I will hit apply, and we wait until Unity is finished processing and all that stuff that Unity does, and magic. Right. All right. I hope this is being followable. You guys have any questions? Ask in twitch.tv/NaturalPowerGames, streaming live right now. All right. Good. You have to do your thing. Whatever. All right. So user controls has been generated. You don't have to check this script ever. This is something you don't touch. It's just Unity doing things, right? But we're gonna use it here. So we, of course, in my player input receiver, I need a private. What did I call it? I can't remember. User controls. User controls. So that's the script that I made. So I'm just gonna call it inputs, right? I call it inputs. And on awake, we create inputs equals a new user controls. That's it. You don't do anything else. Now, this user controls, as I said, you don't have to go and look at it. You can, which I will do. So it has a bunch of stuff, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the most important thing it has actions. It has actions. It has things that you can attach yourself to work way more easily with, and it saves you a lot of time. So to allow me to access those actions, I will hit here, we do comma, and we user controls dot I overworld actions. Remember, I called it overworld actions. Well, we need that. And now we do user controls dot UI actions. I UI, not UI actions, I UI actions, which is interface of UI actions. So hit here, you hit implement interface. Here you hit implement interface, and it will add these things. Wait, I'm just gonna move them down here because I hate that they're up there. It will add these controls basically. So in each one of these, we add what it's supposed to do. So on cheat code, whenever the cheat code, remember I called the cheat code in Unity here, I call this thing cheat code. So whenever on cheat code means whenever cheat code is activated. So an input has, let's talk about context. What does this context thing mean? An input has two phases. So an input can be, it's context, it can be performed. Performed means the button has been pressed. Just that, right? Canceled means the button has been let go. Just that, right? All right. Is pressed. What? Yeah, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Phase, cancel, control. That's it. That's all we need. Pressed, or because if a button is being held, it means it was pressed. That's it. So we just need to listen to whenever it's pressed. Okay, so cheat code. So remember I had all this stuff. Now I don't care anymore. Like this is all in the UI thing that I just showed you. So I can delete this and just say, if context is performed, then we show the debug log. Now we go to movement. So what is movement? Movement, it says, if not paused, then we do that. Now I don't care about paused anymore. Believe it or not, I don't care. So we go to movement. Movement, new vector 3, blah, 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 blah. Well, we don't need this anymore because the context contains the vector 3 or the vector 2, whatever. So we say, what do we say? We say context, read value as vector 2. Remember, I made it a vector 2, so I know this is a vector 2. That's movement. And then we pass it to the player instantly. That's it. And there's thing, right? There's a thing. So we say, we're going to add a little condition here. If context is canceled, then movement equals a vector2.0. That will make our player stop as soon as there's no movement on the stick. All right, good. On pause. So what happens on pause? If you can guess, context that performed, right? If pause was pressed, the button. So we will do this, right? This is just assigning things. And we do the same thing here. I mean, we do exactly the same code because this is on pause. We're just gonna toggle it. You might be like, but you assigned, you could say you assigned pause and on pause to be the same button. It's escape, right? And in this one, I'm actually going to change. I'm going to add a new binding, and I'm going to add my start button on my controller. Start. There you go. Save. Right? Good. We go here. There's a syntax error somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, I'm an idiot. It should not go there. There's no semicolon. All right. So now that we have those, we have to enable. This is the confusing part of this. I mean, if so far you're not confused, you're a fucking genius. I shouldn't. Should I swear? Okay, I don't care. I will beep it. You're a genius. So inputs that. All right. So we need to enable the inputs, and we need to attach these things to the inputs. So the way we do that is we say inputs that overworld, that cheat code. See how it says cheat code? We say plus equals on cheat code. So, add listener, add binding. No. What? Read only. What? Oh wow. Oh, I'm confused. Cheat code. Oh, on performed. Oh my god, that was scary. Okay, so whenever the cheat code is performed, we add it to on cheat code. And that's why we have this. This made this stuff very much easier. So now we do the same thing for all the inputs. So right, we just copy paste this a few times. We say movement that performed on movement. We say, what's the other one? On pause. Pause that performed on pause. Yeah, there you go. But remember, we need whenever the movement is canceled. So we add another one and we say canceled on movement. It goes to the same place. All right. Okay. Pause on pause. So on pause is not in overworld. On pause is in inputs. .ui dot on pause, there you go. That performed plus equals on pause. There you go, on pause. So what does it mean that a game is paused? It means many things. You have to stop processing things, you have to stop doing a lot of things, but the other thing you have to do is stop the character from listening to inputs. So we are not, when we awake, we assume that we are in the overworld. So we say inputs, the overworld that enable, right? And we don't enable the UI inputs. We don't. But whenever we pause, I mean, we don't need this anymore. We don't need this bool pause anymore. Why? Because we say, I mean, whenever we on pause, we are sure that we have to activate the pause text forever. And now we say inputs.overworld.disable. And now we activate inputs.ui.enable. So we are disabling any interaction from the player with the world. And now the player can only interact with the user interface. And that's the power of this. So you can stop issues before they start. You don't have to be going to your character saying, oh, my character speed now 0 because I don't want them to move while the menu is open. No, you just don't let the player be able to control the character anymore. God, this is amazing. Okay, just control false. All right, now this, of course, is the opposite. We are on pausing, so we enable overworld and we disable the UI controls, right? So that the player cannot interact with the UI, blah, blah, blah. Now, this will probably fail because no code works the first time, but it's worth a try. Right, so I'm gonna hit play and I'm going to try to move my player. I can't, as I said. Oh no, it does work. It's moving it very slowly. Yeah, you can see that we're moving the player. Okay, so I'm gonna hit start, pause. I can't move the player. B, it on pauses. And I forgot the cheat. What was the cheat? Cheat code. Oh, Control M. I forgot. Control M. There. Control M. It says stuff, and Control Alt M. Come on. Oh, it doesn't work. It's reserved by Unity, but whatever. So I'm gonna move my character more. Yeah, I can move it. It's not listening to, yeah, okay. So it's not listening to it's being held. Why? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna store. I think I have to store it. I have a vector2 movement here. I think I have to store it for it to work correctly. Oh my god, the tutorial is long. Okay, let's try again. Okay, yeah, whatever. There's some issue with this. I can't remember. This is not good. Context that cancel movement is vector2. Is that it? No, that can't be it. Oh, I know. The problem is I'm storing it in the wrong place. Private vector2 movement. This movement. Okay, so sadly, on update we do this. So that's because I wasn't storing the movement vector, and I have to store it in the player. And I'm like 99% sure this should work. Yeah, you can see that. I can move it now. Like I'm using my stick now. Using my stick to move the player. So again, the power of this is that you can set up and change this very easily. And you remember that I made, left stick, blah, blah, blah. And now I will show that I can change it very easily. So I'm going to hit plus, I'm going to add another binding, and I'm going to use my right stick now to move my player. So I'm going to listen for this, and I'm going to hit my right stick, and I will save. And that's all it took to assign a new set of keys, a new set of keys technically, because it's 4 keys to move my thing. I'm moving it with my tiny yellow stick for my GameCube controller. Moves my character, and it moves it correctly, like left, right, or I'm watching the stream window, so I can't know what's left and what's right, but it works. All right, so let's go over everything again. The first thing is the old input system is getting phased out by the new input system, and the old input system has issues like cannot reassign keys, cannot easily I should try the pausing thing. Cannot easily disable and enable controls, cannot easily there's so many limitations to it. And the new input system has, of course, everything has limitations. You can see that it's paused, and I can't move it with either stick or anything because it's paused. But if I unpause B, I will move it. So again, the new input system allows you way more versatility, and it also allows you to do changing inputs and adding movement to the UI. The next tutorial we're going to be making is how to use UI navigation with controller and keyboard easily after you learn it. Of course, I mean, everything in life is like that. All right, guys. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone who joined the stream. Twitch.tv, Natural Power Games. I don't know where it is, about here, there. So yeah, I will see you guys next week. Tutorial Thursdays. Let's go.